Yo, what is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Brutally Honest off-season with your boy. This time we're going to go with some more Q&A as well as jump into the news of Gunner joining the Soniqs and leaving us, as well as some of the global partner teams. So we'll probably want to do a few questions along with the news that came out. So let's jump right into it. Ultimate Win says, what roster changes would you make for other teams and why would you make those changes? Do you see any surprise teams breaking out for 2023? For the first half of this question, it's kind of hard to answer, so I don't really want to answer it. I don't think there's any changes that I would make at face value. You really have to dive deep into the ins and outs of a team, and that would take way longer to kind of dive into. So we're just going to kind of go with the second half of this is, do you see any surprise teams breaking out for 2023? Me personally, not really. I don't know if it's going to be a surprise to people, but I think Wildcard will be exceptionally strong again this year. I think they will consistently be a top four team in North America. I think Yahoo, right now with how they've been playing, and like it's hard to tell because we haven't played any real games, but if they keep up with what they've been doing, I expect to fall off even more from Yahoo. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I do like some of those players a lot, but the way they approach a lot of things and the seriousness in which they take them, um, I wouldn't be surprised if they fell off a little bit. Coming into the midway past or part of the year last year, Yahoo was basically pegged for a top three. Like they overtook the third spot, and then they just seemed to fuck around a lot and not take it that serious, and just fell off drastically in my eyes. As far as other teams to break out, I don't think Friendly Fire is going to be a breakout team because I think you're going to get what you expect out of them, which is like a top 8 type situation. Interstellar, which really, for North America, obviously I'm keeping this mostly NA based. Again, you're going to get what you expect. I don't think they're going to break out. I think you're going to get top 8-ish performances out of them. I don't think there's any huge breakout teams that I see on the horizon. EU, it's mostly the top teams still for me. I don't know any of the tier 2, tier 3 teams that are like poised to do big things, so I can't speak on that. So honestly, I don't see any surprise breakout teams at all for 2023. I think people are, at least from my point of view, people are going to perform to their expectations, and I don't see anything big happening. I don't see anybody just climbing up that ladder right now. All right, Finn asks, what makes teams like Navi and Twisted Minds, Expert as Pro, so good? It's hard to tell exactly when you don't look at it from, or when you're looking at it from the outside and not have those ins and outs of a team. But from the outside looking in, VP is just, they put in a lot of fucking work. I was supposed to speak on VP first. VP is, they do a lot of homework. They do a lot of sandbox mode type things. But Toolins is one of the hardest workers in the game when it comes to that type of information. And just how they play the game is really efficient. They play from dominant spots where they get really good information from, Batulin's rocks, and they don't make dumb plays. They make almost all of their plays based off of information, and if they don't make those type of plays, they make their plays based off of really good assumptions that that side of the zone is clean or weak, and the way they play in after that with more information will always be king. That's why sometimes they start slow. Sometimes you get information. The information is everything's taken, so we have to make weird plays. But they're so consistent and so good because they are very, very smart with how they just gather information and use that information. And now teams like Navi, I'm not sure. It's obviously not the same exact story. They have a different playstyle than VP a bit. I think a lot of their firepower and just a lot of their leadership on that team and just how they pick up points consistently is what makes them so good. If you look at, I don't remember if it was the third to last game of PGC or what it was, but the game that they won in Crater Fields, that huge play that they made, which takes fucking giant balls, when they seat swapped through center zone of phase 7 or whatever it might have been, to, I think they were killing VP actually. I could be wrong. I think it was the remnants of VP they were killing, but I don't remember exactly. But either way, the balls to seat swap across phase 7 when you're basically hard fucked if you don't do that and you're just like doing awkward smoke fights was amazing out of them. And just plays like that to pick up points and to make game-winning plays, but not just commit to them, but to actually make them work is what makes them one of the best teams in the world right now. Obviously, they just won Worlds, which I think exceeded expectations for people. I don't think anybody had Navi pegged as a world champion after coming off of like what were they, like 16th or whatever. But that makes them one of the best teams in the world. Is just their big balls and they're making plays to win the games consistently and consistently doing it right. So yeah. All right, this can be the last question for this one because we got some other things to talk about, obviously. But we got Voxic asking, what are the most and least promising new teams going into 2023 or players? I briefly touched on this before. So for players, I think Maji's a good one. I've talked about that obviously. I like a lot of the Friendly Fire boys in general. I just don't know if that team is going to be successful. And then Voxic here has his own team that he's got building up. It's Voxic, Richie B, Old List, and Vegas, which is a promising team. I don't think this is a top 4 or 5 team, honestly. I think their play style will lead to inconsistencies. I think you have Old List, who is doing Old List things. If you don't know what Old List things are, you're not in touch, so let me inform you. It's when you walk several hundred meters away from your team while your team is probably in a team fight, and you are trying to start another team fight by yourself, and then sometimes, most times, you'll die, and then your team will be in an awkward spot fighting another team, and you might get 6 points out of like awkward kills that game, but eventually you'll probably get ninth place. Just things like that. So most promising teams, new teams. I say the most promising out of the 3 main new teams, which is I don't know what the fuck you guys are calling yourself, Voxic. So I'm just gonna call you Team Oldless because that's how I treat that team. Like Oldless is running around. That's what that team is. So you got Team Oldless, you got Friendly Fire, and Interstellar. These are the 3 main new teams for me coming into the year. I think the most promising out of the 3 for me is Interstellar, and then Friendly Fire, and then this team. Now, depending on how Team Oldless kind of fixes their awkwardness playing for points randomly when they don't need to and playing out of zones that they don't need to, they will jump Friendly Fire because I think Friendly Fire under Roth's IGLing can be semi-inconsistent. I think he likes to do a lot of chaos, likes to do a lot of hyper-aggressive plays, and I think that leads to inconsistencies quite frequently. And I think Interstellar is going to have a higher game IQ in terms of playing the game straightforward and playing off of information and trying to make normal meta plays. And I think in the long run they'll be more consistent. So yeah, I think that's that for those. Least promising, I already touched on Yahoo a little bit. I think they'll fall out of the top 3, 4 conversation a little bit unless they turn their shit around and actually buckle down and play the fucking game and actually take Scrim serious and stop fucking. I saw Poon a week ago hiding in a bush with a vector in zone 2 or 3, sitting outside of a compound for no reason. Just and I love the Yahoo boys, but like I already expect Shin or Poon to be like, I wasn't trolling. This is what's going on. They troll. They troll a lot. They troll all the time, and they love to troll. It is what it is. They love to piss people off, but they do troll, and I hope they take it serious because that team is very talented. It's like Sparking is one of my favorite players to watch. I don't like playing against him because I don't want to get shit on, but to watch, I just love watching how they can operate, and I want to see them succeed. So I hope they actually do. But for me, they're just falling. Every time I see them in more like troll tournaments like 303 or scrim sets or whatever it is, they keep going down on my list. But that's probably the only team that I can see being the least promising. All right, moving on from the questions, kind of getting more into the global partner situation. So for the global partner teams, we have 17 FaZe, 4AM, Genji, Navi, Pero, Soniqs, and Twisted Minds. Now, I briefly talked about this on Twitter, but I basically said I like this list a lot. It makes a lot of sense for me based on fan base, based on performance, and based on org type, except for Twisted Minds. I don't think Twisted Minds deserves to be there based on the org status alone. A brand new org to PUBG, literally just jumped in it like, what, 4 months ago? The team is insane. Batulins and the boys, obviously NLT. The roster is deserving of it, but I think the whole point of global partner team is to breed the biggest brands and things like that. And I don't think Twisted Minds is going to sell a whole lot of skins. But other than that, I think it's all good. Obviously, NA only has 1 org. SA has 0. That's unfortunate. I didn't expect to get it on LG or anything like that. I was hoping maybe E United would bring in an old org, the old X United roster would bring in an old org, and they'd get something, maybe like Liquid or TSM or something. Just hopeful. I was just hopeful. Obviously, I wanted to see Danawa maybe get it from Korea instead of Twisted Minds. But overall, it's a good situation for that. Rumors are that there's no regional funding, so a bunch of orgs might jump out of the scene. We've already seen ENCE and Heroic leave. It's been, what, 2 or 3 days, and they've already both disappeared from PUBG, so that's a shitty sign for the future of non-global partner teams. I wouldn't be surprised if NA scene dwindles down to even less than what it already is, which is basically nothing. I could see Soniqs being the last org in the scene. I don't know if LG is staying or not, to be honest with you, but we got a backup just in case. Um, yeah, so it's going to be a lot to figure out in terms of global partner, what it means, and how the invites work to the events and what that is. But at face value, the orgs are mostly good and they made good decisions there. All right, and the last bit of this video is I'm basically saving this video till after it's announced, which is Gunner is leaving us on LG/SDK after going on 3.5-ish years. He is joining the Soniqs, the Soniqs. Fuck that team. But yeah, they basically gave him an offer he can't refuse. And with us possibly not being on LG anymore, or even if we were on LG, the offer on Soniqs is much more valuable to him, and financially it will always make sense for him to be joining them based on the offer he received, which honestly sucks because we love Gunner. We really do love Gunner. We've been a family, and he's been a brother to me, and I really love that man. But with that being said, he is gone. He is now the enemy. So fuck you, Gunner. I know you're watching this. You're a piece of shit. I fucking hate you. Fuck the Soniqs. And that's basically it. If you're a Sonics set fan, congratulations. You just got an amazing coach and person added to your org. But fuck you too. See you for the next one.